quite sometimes works.
Hello? Am I audible? Can you hear me? If you can hear me, just put yes in the chat. Hello? Let's wait for some time for the others to join. If you can hear me, just put yes in the chat so that I know that you can hear me clearly. Am I audible? Say yes or no. Okay. We'll start in a couple of minutes once everyone joins in. So yesterday we did a lot of things just to have a quick go through or run through. So we created all of these products in yesterday. So I've added two more products. So yesterday I just had three. I just added three more. I had four. I've added two more. And the assignment that I gave you for these filters, I hope you have added these filters, right? And then we just have to write code so that when we click on price low to high, so it should sort the products low to high. When we select on any brand, so whatever brand I have, I've just mentioned the brands over here. So it should sort according to the brand and then the size as well. So let's write the code for this. Hi, good evening, Bobby. I hope you were able to use GitHub and do it. So just to give you a run through the code. So what I've done basically is I have just used. I've used the same code which I've given you on the GitHub machine code. That I think this is the one, right? The Flipkart clone code that I've given you. I've used this same code only, and what I've done is I've added filters. So if I go on to this brands, so I've just removed all the JSX, all the JavaScript I've removed, and I've just kept plain HTML, plain HTML over here. I'm just returning the markup. There's no JSX over here. Earlier there was JSX, and for size also I've removed all the JSX and just I've written the plain HTML. Similarly for sort also, all the JSS I've removed and just kept the plain HTML. Okay, and I've added all of these things to the filter. So I've created one common filter .jsx component. So see, instead of importing this brand, size and sort separately in app.jsx, so what we could have done is, the way we imported this product card over here from this product card component right over here, we could have also imported this brand filter and brand size and sort also separately in this app.js. But instead of doing that, what I did is I created another component called as filter and imported all of these things, sort, size and brand over here. So I've used these stylings. These are the same stylings I've found, which were there in the machine code repo. And then what I'm doing is I'm just using this filter component. So if I go to the app.jsx over here, I'm just using the filter component. So I'm just wrapping. So it's basically like I'm wrapping things, right? I'm wrapping brands, size and sort into one filter file, and then I am basically putting that filter, calling that filter in the app.js. So this is what actually I have. Done. Okay, now what you have to do is we have to write the remaining code for this. Okay, so how will we do this? So what am I going to do is, first I'm going to do the sort price low to high. So this is the final output, right? So if I click on price low to high, so okay, still this is not working. Let me refresh it. It should work. It should work. If I click on price low to high, see, yeah, it's working now. If I click on price high to low, it's working. So this is what we want. Price low to high and price high to low should give us it in the sorted way. So how do we do it? So in order to do this, what are we going to do is, we are actually going to first basically create a utility file for this. So what are we going to do basically is, let me close all of these things: app.js, product.json, filter, brand, size, all of these things I'm going to close, and I'm just going to use this sort. So what I'm going to do, see, now you have to understand this one thing. We have just used useState until now, right? But we can use useState for all of these things, like for size and brand also. We can use useState. But see, then what will happen? Then I have to create multiple useStates. I have to create a useState over here, and then I have to pass this value also to the app.js component, right? Because depending on the value of that state, then only it will filter the products accordingly, because this products is going to change now. This is not going to be the same, because this will basically depend upon the filter value also, right? If I filter or if I sort something, then this array is going to change. The changing of this array actually depends upon these values over here. So what are we going to do is, we are basically going to create something called as a filter context. So we are going to use two things. We are going to use reducer and use context. So how are we going to do that? So in order to do that, what I'm going to do basically is, in the source file, I'm basically going to create another file over here, and the name of the file basically would be filter context.js. Okay, filter context.js. So what is the meaning of context? Context basically is used to create a global state. Now in the sort or in the brand, right, or in the sizes, every state that we are going to create will be local to this file only, right? And then if I want to use that state, then I have to basically pass props. Passing props basically means, let's say you have a tree, something like a tree, right? Assume a tree like this, and this is a common point, and there is one component over here, there is one component over here. Let's say you want to pass the data from this component to this component. So in between whatever components are there, you have to keep on passing the data, right? Just imagine a chain. There are 10 people, right? And then you have to pass an item from the first person to the last person. So the item will basically travel through every person, right? That's because it's a chain. So that is what is about passing props as well. So it will basically go from here to here, like it basically goes from the child to the parent, from the parent to the grandparent, then the ancestor, right? If there are same ancestor, then it will again go from the grandparent, parent, and then the child. So basically this also phenomenon is called as prop drilling, because this state becomes a local state. In order to avoid this, what you want to do is you want to basically create a global state. So to create a global state, you use context. Okay. So for the local state, we use state. If I want to create a global state, I basically can use context. So to create a use context, I have created a filter-context.js. If you have more contexts, though, it's advisable you create a folder for all those contexts. Since we only have the filter context, I'm just writing it over here. But the way we did for components, we created a folder, and then in folder again a subdirectory. In the same way, if there are more contexts, you create a directory for it. Now for context, what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to write import use context, and comma create context from React. Okay, so both of these basically are going to come from React. It's basically use context and create context. So it has only a couple of steps. So okay, so let me write the steps also. The first step basically is to create a context. Okay, create context. Second step basically is to create a provider. Create a provider. Now what is a provider? So see, as I told you, context basically is managing the global state, right? It's basically passing data from into different files. Now the data will basically be in this context file, but it can be passed to every component or every page. So in order to provide data to all of these components or to all of these pages, we use the provider. So by context, by using the create context, we create a context. With the provider, we can provide data to everyone. Then the third basically will require a consumer. So we want to use context. We want something to also use this data, right? So how do we do this? So the first step is to create a context. So it's very simple. I'll just write const filter context. It's always a component, right? So that's why you have to write it in capital letters. Filter context is equal to, right? And now this filter context basically will take a children. Now what is the meaning of children? Since I have to provide the data to the entire app, right? Since I have to provide the data to the entire app, so this app.js over here, this one, this basically would be my children, because everything that I'm going to see at the end of the day only this is rendered, right? This I've taught you in the first session also, right? If I go to index.html, there is only this div element over here with the id root, and then in the index.js it selects this item and it's only rendering the app component, and see it's importing also the app from the app.js. It's importing it from here and it only renders the app component. So if I want to provide data to this app, like if I want to provide data to the entire app, I have to provide data to this app component. So this app component becomes my children. So over here I'll just write children, right? And then what I'll do is I'll just write filter context dot. So the moment I do dot, I can do okay, I have to write a return also. Return filter context dot provider and then backslash filter context dot provider. Okay, and this basically would actually give me okay, no, so no, this is incorrect. So we have to first create a context. So I'll write const filter context is equal to create a context, right? And this would be an empty. You can add an initial value also over here. And now we are going to create a provider. The second step, so I'll write filter provider over here. Filter provider is equal to this basically would take a children, right? A children, and then basically it's just going to return filter context dot. Now if I see, the moment I put dot, I get consumer and provider. So I need provider and backslash filter context dot provider, and this basically would actually take this children only. So this children basically would become my app component or any component that I want, not only limited to app component, but any component can come over here. And then what I have to do is I want to consume this also. So I can just write const use filter is equal to, so this basically is a callback, and I'll write use context, and the context that I want to use is the filter context, right? And finally what I'm going to do is I'm just going to export both of them. So I'll write export use filter and filter provider. Okay, so what I've done over here basically is with the so first I have to create a context. So this is the first step. So create context, right? This is an initial value which can be empty, or you can add an initial value which can be an object, something like that. I'll tell you what initial value is. And then what I'm doing basically is I'm creating a provider so that the value is being provided to the entire app, and this provider basically would take a children, right? Now the value can be provided to the entire app, or the value can be provided only to a single component, right? I want the value to be provided to the entire app, so that's why I'm basically using a children. Then what I'm doing is I want to also consume this, so I will use this use context to consume this, and since it's basically like a callback, so it will return this to the use filter, right? And then over here and in the filter provider I have to also give the value also. We'll come to the value later on. Now what I have to do is in the index.js, I have to come in the index.js, and then I have to say that since I know I have to also specify this children, right? In my case, the children is the app component. So what I'm going to do over here is I will come in the index.js and I'll just import this use filter provider. So I'll just write import, and I can write filter filter provider from where, from just imported from this filter context, and what I have to do is, and the filter provider will basically come over here, and in this filter provider what is going to go in this filter provider, my app component will go. I'll just write the app over here. So this is how it actually works. So as I told you that, see, if I see over here, this filter context provider basically takes the children over here. What is this children? This children, if I go to the index, it's nothing but this app component only, because I want to give the data to the entire app. That's why I'm writing app. If I wanted to give the data only to, let's say, this filter component, or let's say the product card component, I would have just written I've just not over here, but in the app I would have written that you add this filter, add the children product card in under this filter provider, not over here, but in the app component I would have written that. Okay. Now what I want to do is, now I basically want to create the initial states. So what I'm going to basically do over here is I am basically going to use a use reducer. So I'm going to write const, right? So this takes two value, state and a reducer function. So I'll just write state and filter dispatch. So it takes two values, state and dispatch. Dispatch basically is a function. So it's not like the use state, which basically takes state and set state. I'll just import the use reducer, right? So what is basically reuse reducer? It basically uses use state under the hood, and also it uses the reducer function, the array.reduce. If you know array.reduce, so it takes the reduce function. The use reducer under the hood uses reduce function only, right? And the use reducer is basically used to manage the state at a state. Now how do we decide when to use reducer and use state? So the thumb rule basically is that if you have more than 3 use states, if you have to create one more use state, that the fourth use state, you don't use state, you just use a use reducer over there, right? Because writing, so this basically is like good practices, where instead of writing multiple use states, you just use a single use reducer and it does the work. So I'll just write use reducer over here is equal to use reducer, and the use reducer basically takes two functions. If you see over here, two things. First would be the reducer function, so I'll just write reducer function, and the second basically would be the initial state. So the initial state basically would come basically as an object, and then the initial state would be a lot of things. So what would be the initial state? The initial state would be my states, right? So if I imagine, I would have created a state for brand, right? Brand and set brand. I would have created a state for size and set size. I would have created a state for sort and set sort. So instead of doing all of these things, I'm just going to write over here a state for sort, and this would take an empty value, right? For size, this also would be an empty value, and then for brand, this also would be an empty value. Okay, and so this is how I provide the initial state. And since it gives an error which says reducer function is not defined, what I'm going to do is, in the source I'm just going to create a reducer function .js, and then in the reducer I'm just going to write export const reducer function is equal to something, right, is equal to, this would be an arrow function, this is it. And then what I'm going to do is, in the filter context, I'll just import that reducer function. So what are we actually doing is, we are just making it more modular, and instead of writing everything same at one place, we are just creating different files for it, right? So we have everything ready now. we have state, and we have filter. Now if you see over here, it basically says state is declared, but the value is never used. So how will the value be used? Now see, as I told you that this children, or they will use this state and this filter dispatch. Now what is the state? The state basically is nothing but this sort, size and brand is nothing but the state value only. So what I have to do is, over here I have to just write value, and in double curly braces, right? So the first curly brace basically is for JSX, right? And the second curly brace is basically an object. So I want to pass the state and I want to pass the filter dispatch also. Okay. So basically this app component will receive the state and the filter dispatch also. Amazing. Now what I have to do basically is okay. Any doubt till here? Any questions, any doubt till here? If you have, you can just put it in the chat. I am basically watching the chat. Any questions, any doubt? Just trying to access the chat. No. Okay. So just to give you a quick overview of all of these things. So what is use context? Basically, in order to create a global state, not local state, in order to create a global state, so that the value of this sort or this size or this brand can be used by every component or every page that we create in the entire app. That's why we use context, right? So these are nothing but state values only. Sort, set sort, size, set size, brand, set brand. These are nothing but state values. But now, in order to make this a global, we have to use context and use reducer. We cannot do it with use state. But under the hood, use reducer uses use state only, and it uses the reduce function, dot reduce function of JavaScript, the higher order function. Okay, so there are 3 steps, right? You have to create a context, so you do it in this way. Now, what I was talking about, the initial state. So the initial state basically, what would be the initial state if there are some initial state? So you can just write const initial state. This initial state would actually be an object, and it will have only these 3 values only, right? These values which are over here, the initial state is actually going to have these values only, and over here I can just write the initial state. Now why do we put initial state? Is because, let's say for some reason the app is not being able to consume this provider, right? For some reason the app is not able to consume this provider, so it will get the initial value. The initial value of sort will be empty, string, size would be this, and brand. Like you can also put some value also, like the sort you want it to be low to high, so this would be the initial value. Let's say the size initially you want only large, so this would be the value. The brand, let's say you want Zara only initially, so this would be the brand. So initially I'm setting all of these things now. Why am I doing all of these things? Because this is my product.json, right? If you see this, there is size L, and then there would be brand Zara also, which I've added lately, and this L2H basically is sort low to high, right? Instead of L2H I can just write high to low also. Now I can write it in whichever way I want. I can write entire HIGH, high to low, or I can add short forms also. So I can use this as initial state, right? But this does not make any sense, right? If the app is able to consume the values, if the app is able to consume these values, whatever I change, then it's not going to take the initial state. And this happens rarely, right? Okay, 1 in a billion times it would happen that it's not able to get the value, so it goes to the initial value. Most of the cases does not even bother about the initial value base. If the value that is checked sits over here, so it basically will check this value, and the state value would be these 3 values: sort, size, and brand. And what is filter dispatch? Filter dispatch is nothing but the reducer function. Okay, so the state value is all these 3 values. And what is filter dispatch? Filter dispatch is nothing but this reducer function. So first step is create context. We created context with initial state. Second is create provider. So we basically created a provider also, the filter provider, and provided the data to the entire app by using children. Now children can be a single component, right? Children actually is a component. So we are doing it for the app component. And app is our main component which is being rendered. That's why we put everything in the app component. Okay. And I'm using use reducer, which basically again returns two value. One is the state and other is the dispatch, right? The use reducer returns you two values. Just like use state returns two values, an initial state and a setter function, count and set count. In the same way, use reducer also returns two value. So I'm destructuring it. And use reducer also takes two value also as arguments. It takes a reducer function and it takes the state values also, like what would be the value of this state, the initial state, what will be the initial state, and you have to produce, you have to give it. With use state, even if there was no initial state, it was still working, but with use reducer you have to give the initial state, right? And then when you return it, you return the provider with this value, and the value would be this state and this filter dispatch, okay? And then you provide the children over here. And the third step, not the fourth step, is to use context to consume it. So you provide it and then you consume it also. So this is how you consume it. You write use context and then the filter context, not the provider. This one, the context that you created, you have to consume that only. And then I'm exporting all of these things. Why I'm exporting use filter is by using use filter only I can use these values, this state and this filter dispatch values, right? Without use filter I cannot use these values. Okay, without consuming it I cannot use it, right? Suppose as I gave the example of the chain, let's say there are 10 people in a line, and the first has to give the item to the last, so it is passing, right? First will give to second, second will give to third. Now if the third is not given to the fourth, how will the chain continue, right? So the third has to give to the fourth, then only the chain will continue. So in the same way over here, in order to use this, so the use context basically will consume these values, right? And then we are assigning it to the use filter. So by using use filter, we can basically get these values. And what are these values? These values are this thing only. It's the reducer function and it's the state value. Okay, that was a lot of talk and a lot of saying. Now let's write the code for sort.jsx. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm basically just going to import the use filter from the filter context, okay? Because the filter context has the use filter, right? So I'm importing the use filter from the filter context. Now what are these things? Basically I'm just providing the path. So this double dot basically means you have to come out of the parent folder, then again a double dot means again come out of this folder, and then I found it over here, right? So this is a single dot basically means the same directory. Double dot basically means like this sort is basically inside the filter component. So double dot, I'll come over here. Then after this, I've from this filter I have to come outside the component also. Again double dot, I'll come in the component, and then since component and filter context are in the same source directory, I can just add filter context, right? What I have to do now, basically when I click on this input change, right? So if you see there are these two radio buttons. When I click on any of them, when I click on low to high, it should sort it according to the price, low to high. Okay, great. It is not sorted, so we will get the sorted version. So what I have to do basically is I am now targeting this sort one. Okay, so I will take an on change function, on change, right? And this on change basically will call two things. Okay, so I will basically create an on change, okay, and this on change basically is going to call two things. Okay, so not two things. Basically, it's going to we will basically pass a handle sort change over here. Okay, or handle sort change, CHANG sort change, and we'll pass low to high as an option. Okay, this value we are passing as an option, right? And then this on change also is basically going to take a callback function, which again would be handle sort change, and this basically now will be high to low. Okay, great. Now it gives an error which says handle sort change is not defined. So not to worry, I will define it in the component only. So what I'm going to do is constant handle sort change this basically will take a parameter, and the parameter would be option, right? Now see what I've done over here basically is, since these are two different inputs, what could I have done? I could have created two different functions, right? Handle price low to high, handle price high to low, right? I could have done this and written two different functions for them, but only low to high and high to low would have changed. But rather than doing that, what I'm doing is I'm creating only one function and I'm passing option. I'm passing low to high and high to low. So when I click on this on change, it will pass low to high, right? So this option will become low to high. So by using option, I can make the code more what do you say, more optimized. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is, when I get the option, I am just basically going to so from the use filter, what I want is, I want to get the filter dispatch. So I'll write const filter dispatch is equal to use filter. So this is how basically I can use the value everywhere. See, this filter context basically has this filter dispatch and state, right? And I am providing this as the value, right, to the children. Like I'm basically passing this as a prop. Now when I do use filter, I'm consuming this value, right? When I do use filter, I'm consuming this value. So whenever I do use filter, I'll basically get these values. So see, if I hover on use filter, you can see what does it show. Like even if I remove this filter dispatch now, even if I remove this filter dispatch and save it, if I just hover on use filter, see it says sort, size, brand, right? It says sort, size and brand, right? So because that's the state that we had. And I can also use the filter dispatch also, filter dispatch. Now what I can do over here is, I can just write filter dispatch, okay? And this dispatch basically would take basically two things. So dispatch basically takes two things. It takes type and payload. So type basically is what you want to do, right? So we are basically just imagine like a condition, like a variable, like there is a value x. Let's say there is a person's age, and I'm writing let age equals to 24, right? Age equals to 24, and then I'm writing condition, if age is greater than 18, then the person is eligible to vote. A very simple logic. Now this age variable basically has my value, right? Or we can so in the same way, this type also will have the value of what I want to do, basically whether I want to do high to low or low to high. So I want to specify the type of sort. So I'll specify that the type would be equal to, okay, now I have to write a condition, because so this has to be a key value pair, because the type can basically be either high to low or low to high. So or the type basically would be option only. So I'll just make the type to be option, right? So the type can be high to low and low to high. And over here the payload would basically also be the option only. Okay, so I'm making the type to be option and payload also be to the option. Okay. Now what I'm going to basically do is, I'm going to come into the reducer function, right? And this reducer function basically would take the state, and it would basically take something called as action, right? Now if I just hover over action, okay, the action basically is the type and the payload itself. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create case. I'm just going to use switch case. So I'll write switch, and this would be action dot type. Okay. This would be action dot type. Okay, and the type, where is the type coming from? The type is coming from here. So this would be action dot type, and then what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to check the case. So if the case is basically low to high, okay, so if the case basically is, let's say, L to H, then what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to return the state, right? Because it's an object, so I have to destructure it, And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the value of the sort to the option, okay, or I'm going to set it to action.type or action.payload. Okay, both are same. I could have done either of them. So what I'm basically doing is I'm changing the value of the sort now. So see what is going to happen over here. Let's understand this again. If I basically click on this one, right? If I click on this price high to low, okay. If I click on this price high to low, now it's giving error. We'll fix this also. It says reducer is not a function. Okay, don't worry about this. This we will fix. Okay. So over here, reducer fun, filter context, import reducer fun, reducer, export counts, reducer fun. This is also reducer fun. Okay, we'll get that later. So basically, okay, let's understand it in this way. So if I click on this low to high, so what will happen if I understand the code? If I click on, why is this lagging now? Let me close this. Okay. So if I click basically on this low to high, so what is it doing? This on change function will call this handle sort change, and it will make the option to be equal to L to H, right? It will make the option to be equal to L to H. And what I'm doing is I'm basically calling this filter dispatch, and this filter dispatch is nothing but this reducer function. Okay, this filter dispatch is nothing but this reducer function only. Okay, and when it calls this reducer function, so in this reducer function, what I'm doing is this reducer function takes two values. It takes state and action, right? So I will do switch action.type, because so it's a switch case, right? So this action.type would be L to H, right? If I go over here, if I click on the low to H, this option would be L to H. So the action.type will be L to H. And what I'm saying, if the action.type is L to H, you make the sort value to be equal to action.payload. And what is payload? Payload basically over here, if I see, payload is also nothing but option only. And what is option? Option over here is L to H. So the sort will have a new value now, right? And what I'm going to basically do over here is I'll have another case. If case is H to L, if it is high to low, then what do? Then you again return the state, okay. And what is ... I'm just spreading it the way we did it for the array in the to-do list. And then the sort value now would be again action.payload. Okay, action.payload. And I also want a default case. So by default, I will just do return the state. Okay, and what is state? State, if you understood, state is nothing but this value only. This is the state, right? So now what I want is, if I click on this sort, I basically just want to console log this sort. So what I can do is, if I click on this sort over here, so let me just add the state also over here. State, mama, filter dispatch. Why is it not showing filter dispatch? Should have shown filter dispatch also. And I'm just going to do console.log state.sort. Okay, state.sort, because the sort is over here in the state. So if I go back over here, takes the reducer function and it takes the initial value. Have I imported it correctly? Let's check. Let's just check it. So if I refresh this, okay, it's okay. Let me open this in a new one over here, and let me refresh this. I think there's an error, so let me just open the console. Okay, so there's no error. So if I click on low to high now, okay, it gives an error. It says reducer is not a function. Okay, let me check this thing. Let me import this again. Okay, let's import it again. Import reducer function from dot backslash reducer func. Let me save it now, and let's reload it again. It's taking a while to load now. Does it give any error in the console? No, it does not give any error in the console. Let me refresh it again. Okay, if I click on low to high, okay, it says reducer is not a function. Why does it say this? Okay, let's debug this. It says reducer is not a function. So we have imported use reducer, and we have created a reducer function also. Let me close this. Stacks broken. Let's try to debug this. We have created a reducer function and says export const reducer function. Okay, so over here I've written reducer func, and over here I've written reducer fun. So see, these are mistakes that we as developers often make, and then we are trying to debug it for 2 hours, 3 hours, and then we just like, there is a simple typo. I'm glad I could find this, otherwise this would have taken a long while. So this has happened before also, where I've done some typo and then it has taken hours, and then after hours I've realized, oh, I just made a single typo. Now if it gives any error, then there is some coding error for sure, because now I don't think it should give any error. What I want basically is to check if I get low to high to low and low to high. This is what I'm basically actually checking. So let me clear this console. If I click over here, amazing. So if you see on the console over here, I get low to high and high to low. Can you see that? Right? So can you see that? Okay. Now see, the good part is that if I click on low to high again and again, it's not being rendered again and again. Right? This is the magic of states. This is because if it is the same value that the state is getting again and again, if you're providing the same value, does not re-render anything, right? Because it's the same thing. What will it do? But if you change it, then it basically will do it, right? Okay. So I'm getting low to high and high to low. Now it's very simple. Now I got low to high and high to low. So I have the value of sort. Now what is this low to high and high to low? If I go into sort.jsx, it's basically this value, right? The value of this sort. So what I can do is very simply what I can do over here is I can just remove all of these things. Okay. I can come to the app.js and I can create a function over here. Inside the app.js, what I can do is I can first import the use filter. So I will just write import use filter from the filter context. Use filter from the filter context, and what I'm going to do basically is I'm just remove this thing, and I'm going to do const state, and then I'm going to write state is equal to use filter. I don't want any dispatch now. Okay, use filter, and now what I basically want is I want to create a function. Now I want to create a function in such a way that it gives me the filtered array. So this products actually should change. So how would I do this? So in order to do that, what I'm basically going to do is since I have the products, so I'll just create a function over here. And the name of the function would be, let's say, const get sorted products. Now this sorted products basically will take two values. It will take the products array, and it will also take the a parameter sort, and this parameter sort would basically be this state sort, right? So this parameter sort basically would be the state sort, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a sort. So I'll just write const sorted products is equal to, right? So I'm going to use this array because I have to apply sort on this. I hope you know how to apply sort method. Applying sort method is very simple. Okay, if you do not know how to use sort method, let me show it to you in just by just writing this small little thing over here. Let's say we have an array which has the numbers 4, 6, 2, 8, 9 and 1, and I want to sort it, so I can just write dot sort, right? Now by just writing sort, nothing will work, right? It shows me 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, and you might be thinking, oh, it is sorted. But see, the moment I write over here comma 11, if you see, it says 111, and if I write 21, it says 111 to 21. So this is not sorted, right? So to sort it, I have to pass a callback function. So I'll write takes two values a comma b, and then I'll just do a minus b. So what is it doing? It's not a and then blur over here. It is a comma b. So now if I press enter, this cursor is bad. Okay, yeah. Now if I see, now if I do so, now I get the sorted value 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 11, 21. So it takes a callback, returns a minus b. A minus b basically is like a would be 4 and 6 would be b. It would do 4 minus 6. So if the result is positive, that means if the result is positive, that means first number is bigger than the second number, right? But if the result of subtraction is negative, that means the first number is smaller than the second number. So if the result is negative, then it will keep it as it is. But if the result is positive, then it will swap the numbers, because the first number is greater than second, so it will swap it, right? This is how sort actually works. So what are we going to do is, oh my god, we are going to use it over here. So I have to first spread this array. If I do not spread the array, because sort will sort the array in place, and I don't want to sort the array in place. Okay, so I'll just write products dot sort, right? Products dot sort, and what am I going to do is I have to sort it. Now in order to sort it also, see, it will be sorted in two ways. It will be sorted either high to low or low to high, depends on this sort ka value, right? This sort we saw, okay, because this sort can be high to low or it can be low to high, right? This is what we saw. If I click over here, it refresh. Okay, I removed it. Yeah, let me go back to the sort. This. For some reasons it is hanging, it is lagging. I haven't used anything such that it lags. Now it's stuck. I don't know why it is stuck. Yeah. Let me just close this thing and let me just refresh it. But if I refresh it, I'll lose the data or the code that I've written. ठीक है भाई, reload कर ही ले. So I'm just reloading it. Okay. Control. It is continuously logging something. Just remove this objects ka log wherever it is. Where am I logging? Okay, I'll just remove this console log products. Don't want the console log products. And let's say I'll just do console.log the state.sort. Okay. So now if it gives empty string, so if I refresh it again, now the console log for this is empty string, but if I click over here, it gives low to high and high to low, right? If I click over here, I get high to low. So what I have to basically just simply do is, I have to first check whether the sort is low to high or high to low. If it is low to high, then I have to do the subtraction in the ascending order, right? So what I'll basically do over here is, before calling the callback function, or I think I should call the callback function, and then in the callback function, in that I can basically do it. So Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to take two values, would basically be a comma b, right? Or let's say we can make it more good. We can decide item 1 comma item 2, product 1 comma product 2, whatever you feel is appropriate, and then I can just write a condition which would be if the sort, okay, if the sort is equal to low to high, okay, if the sort is equal to low to high, then what I have to do is then I would do item 1 dot price, right, not dot price dot new price, because that is new price, right, minus item 2 dot new price. So this will basically sort it in the ascending order. If I go to my uh, public folder and in the product.json, I have new price and old price, right? So and then what I want is, and then I want if not, right, if the sort is high to low, okay, I can't write else, because if I write else then it would always do high to low. If not, if it is high to low, then what I want to do is, then I want to do the reverse, item 2 dot new price minus item 1 dot new price. Okay, if this is also not, then what I want to do is I just want to return whatever is the products. Okay, that's as simple as that. So let me make you understand, this also is quite simple and quite pretty straightforward. What I'm basically doing is I know that I'm getting this state sort value. So in order to get the sorted products, I want to sort on the products array. So I've created a function get sorted products. This would take the products ka array and it will take the sort value also. What is the sort value? Is it low to high or high to low? And then what I'm going to do is I am basically spreading this array to create a new array, because sort will sort the array in place. If I use the same products array, then if I do low to high, high to low will not work. Okay, it will basically create, it won't work. Okay, so I have to create a copy every time, and then what I'm basically doing is I'm using the sort, and then before sorting it, I'm basically checking what is the value of sort. It is low to high or high to low. If it is low to high, then I return item 1 dot new price minus item 2 dot new price. If it is high to low, I do item 2 dot new price minus item 1 dot new price. If both of the things are not there, then you just give me the products as it is. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to just write return the sorted products. So just return the sorted products. Now what I can do is I can call this function over here only. So I'll call the function and I'll just write const. Again, let's say I'll just take the same variable sorted products equals to get sorted products, and this products will take the products array and it will take state.sort. Okay, state.sort. And what I'm going to do is, and I'm now going to console log this sorted products, console.log the sorted products to check this sorted products, not set products. I'm just going to do console.log sorted products to check the sorted products if it's being getting sorted. Okay, now this is an actual test for us. Let's see it over here. What am I doing? Control Shift D, and we'll check it over here only because we just want the array, right? So see, now if I refresh it, if the sorted products, see the sorted products, because I'm logging the sorted products, right? If you want me to do something, I can just write sorted products over here so that you know where it is coming from. Okay, and the empty string basically is coming from this console log, the state.sort, and let me just remove it because we know it already. So now the sorted products, basically, let me refresh it, and let me also do console.clear, so it comes only once. So if I save it now, let's see the sorted products. The sorted products is the regular products. Okay, it has all the regular products which are not at all sorted. Okay, and if I see the price, the price is over here is 860. Then the price of object 2 is 1750. The price of object 3 is 3500. it is 2499. So this is not sorted. Okay, 799, and then this is 1800. Now see, if I click on this low to high, right, and now if I click over here, it would have changed. See, it is 799, and for the second one it is 860, for the third one it is 1750. Over here this is 1800, and it will keep on increasing, right? 2499, and then this over here. So it has changed, right? And then if I click on high to low, then this again changes. If I click over here, so 3500, then over here this is 2499, the new price, and then over here it is 1800, over here the new price, and then so on, right? So we got it. Good, nice, I like this. Okay, so what are we going to do now? Now instead of using products, we just have to use the sorted products, this one, right? So copy this. Instead of products, I'll just write if there are products, if the product dot length is greater than 0, then you do sorted products dot map, right? Simple. So if I go back over here now, let me refresh this. So I will get it the way it is, right? All of these things. But now if I do price low to high, see, it's working. 799,860, and if I do high to low, again this is working. Okay. Now this is actually bringing a smile because, right, we did everything from scratch. Okay, all the codes. I just asked you to make the filter section, and then we have written all the codes, and then it is working fine, right? If I do low to high, then it gives me price low to high. It's working so smoothly also, right? And if you see that the page is not refreshed or it is not reloaded, right? And we are getting it so smoothly. And then if I refresh it, it will come as the original state. Okay. By default, there is no price low to high or high to low, because if you open any e-commerce application, by default this is not selected, right? Low to high, high to low is not selected. By default, you get prices in a haywire price, like one product will be 800, other product will be 8000, right? But then you apply low to high, so it will change it. If you apply high to low, this will change it. Did you like this thing? Did you enjoy it? Is it good? How many people are there? Okay. There are some people. Just write yes in the chat if you liked it. Just waiting for your response. I think the delay is quite large in this setting. That's why it's creating a problem. Just type yes in the chat if you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, if you want me to repeat it, just let me know. I can repeat it as well for you. If you want me to repeat it, just let me know. Bobby, Sakib, and whoever is watching, if you want me to repeat something, just let me know. I will repeat it right now. Or if you don't want me to repeat it, then basically we can move ahead. And I will take another half an hour and finish size. Size and brand are almost similar, okay? Because these are check boxes only. That's why I took two check box. One I will do, one you will do as an assignment. Okay, for your understanding, whatever you understood. I'll just do size. Okay, filter by size, and then you on your own you can do filter by brand also, because once we do with size, brand is the same, right? It's just the checkbox or kya hai usme. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's do the brand thing. Okay, so to do the brand, it's the same only. What I have to do is go on to filter. The way I did for sort, all of these things, dispatch and everything, I have to do it for the size also. So let me just copy this over here, open size. Let me copy this and put it over here, right? And then let me again, my laptop is, I don't know why it is lagging today. It lags every day, but today I don't know why it is lagging so much. Okay. Now what I want to do is, basically I want to do this filter by the size. So in order to do the filter by the size, what I'm basically going to do is, I'm again, see, I know that everything over here just changes this value and nothing else, right? What is going to change over here? With this input, the value is S. With this input, the value it should give me is M. With this input, the value it should give me is L, large, and this should give me XL, this should give me double XL. Now, there are multiple ways. I can write on change different functions for every input. Okay, but I know that all the inputs are working in the same way, and only their value is changing. One is small, one is medium, one is large, one is XL, one is double XL. So why to create multiple functions? Just create one function, just change the option, right? That is what we can do. So over here I'm just going to, so I'm going to write it everywhere once and for all. So this I did with Alt and select. So just write on change. Okay, this is also all the inputs have on change only. Okay, if it's a radio button or if it's a checkbox, whatever input you create, even if it's a normal input, everything has on change. For key you have on key press. So this basically would take a callback function because I have to pass in a value, and then it would basically be handle size change. Okay, just pay attention to how I name things. Okay, and then this would be S. Okay, so the first one would be S, then the second one would be M, the third one would be large, this would be X large, and this would be my size, double XL. Okay, so someday if you want to gift me a t-shirt, now you know my size, it is double XL. Conch handle size change is equal to you can give me a t-shirt, or you can come to meet me. Option. What do you want to do? These live sessions sometimes are a little tiring because you have to speak so continuously, right? And then also continuously check the chat whether someone is saying something or not. Okay, so what I want to do is, it's basically going to do the same thing, right? It's basically going to give me a filter dispatch only. So filter dispatch. Now I'll dispatch two things. I'll just write type. Basically would be the size. Okay, so the type would be the size because it's all of the things come in one bracket, right? So all of these things will have the same value, right? So the type will be size, and the payload will basically be two values. The payload first would be the option, right? What is the option? So I'll just write option, and second would be the target value, which one is checked. So I'll create a variable, let check is equal to e dot target dot checked, checked, e dot target dot checked. Okay, since it says it does not know what e is, so let's pass e also, right? And it does not know what e is, so let's pass e everywhere, over here, and then every function basically will have e now, right? So I'm basically just passing e everywhere. Just hold on for a minute. So e basically is nothing but the event, and why I'm passing e dot target dot checked is basically just to check which one was triggered. Okay, whether it is the small, the medium, or the large. So I'll write options comma check. Now what? So this basically is an object, right? And if I just write option, so the key is option and the value is also option. If I write check, the key is check and the value is also check. You can write a code on this, and you can just have a variable option and check. See, okay, let me show that also. Let me have a variable, let option is equal to, let's say 4 2, and let check is equal to let's say apple. If I want to create an object out of this, I can just say, let's say const obj is equal to option comma check. So if I write option comma check, and if I do obj, so see I get option and its value to be 2 and check and its value to be apple. Okay, so it creates a key option and then the value check creates a key check and its value. So in the same way over here also it will create a key option and whatever is the value of the option, that would be SM large, and then it will create a key check and check would be e.target.checked, whatever is checked. Okay, so I have this thing done. Now what I have to do is I have to come in the app.js, the same thing, right? Okay, and what I can do, no, not in the app.js, I have to open the reducer function, right? And then in the reducer function I have to write about this reducer, the filter reducer for the size. So what I'm basically going to do is, now this is actually a little longer, so what I'm actually going to do over here is try to understand this thing. If you don't understand, you can ask in the chat. Don't feel shy to ask, don't feel shy to say can you explain once again. Okay, ऐसा बिल्कुल भी सोचने का नहीं कि पूछना नहीं है, you can just ask. That is what I'm here for. State, and I want the value for size, right? This is again my state. If you remember from the context, I have size at the state, which is by default large, right? And it actually makes no sense because I'm going to change it over here. What I want to do basically is, if anything is checked, okay, so if I go to the size, so I am passing a payload.check, right? So if this e.target.checked, this basically would be either true or false. This would have two values, true or false, right? If you click on the checkbox, this becomes true. If you again click on it, if you deselect it, it becomes false. If you select the checkbox, it becomes true. If you deselect it, e.target.check will give you a false value. So this gives two values, true or false. So check in any case would be true or false. Let me hover over this. Does it give me anything? No. So but I know it's going to give me true or false. In the reducer function, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to only set a value for this size only when something has been checked. So I'll just write action.payload.check, because this check is an object in the payload. If this is checked, then only what I have to do is, I have to basically get this size. Okay, I have to basically, so the idea basically is, so how will you do this? Okay, because if you see over here, I can actually select multiple size, small, medium, large, XL. I can select multiple different sizes. So how, with the radio button is very simple. You know, you are going to just select one of them, right? With the men and women, right? We know that you're going to select only one thing. But with these things, it becomes a little complicated, where you know that you're going to select multiple things. Now, what is the idea? So is there any questions? So the idea basically is to actually apply, filters, right? So what you can basically do is, so the idea over here would be, if something is checked, then basically you create, okay, so what I'm going to do is, let me clear this. So if I click on all of these things, I will basically add this S, M, L and XL to an array. Okay, so that is my approach. You listen to my approach. What I'm going to do is, whatever I'm going to check, or whatever checkbox I'm going to click on, I'm just going to add that to an array. Okay, so I will come over here and I'll say, if it is checked, then basically you create an array. And so I'll just write an array would be ... state.size, right? So the size should be an array. So what I'm going to do is go into the filter context and make this size an array over here instead of over here an empty string. I'll make this an array. Okay, so I'll make the size an array. So I'll just spread it, and what I'll do is I'll add a value which would be action.payload.option. Why option? if I go to the size over here, the option basically would be equal to S, M. So if you see over here, option would be S, option would be M, option would be L, XL and double XL, right? So whatever I click on, I'm basically going to add it into the array. So this is what I'm doing. So if it is checked, you add it to an array, right? If not, okay, so if it is not checked, okay, if you are not checked, or if you deselect it, then you have to remove from the array also, right? So I'm basically creating an array of all the sizes which are actually selected over here, right? So over here we basically see in the reducer function, what do is we set the value of the state. Over here we set the value of this, if the sort for low to high and high to low. Over here we are setting the array. So if it is checked, you add it to an array. Otherwise you basically do a filter. So how do you do a filter? So we will basically write state dot size, because it will be in the size array. State dot size dot, if the length is greater than 0, okay, if the length is greater than 0, then I will apply a filter. So I'll just write state dot size dot filter, okay, and what I have to filter on, I have to filter. So how do I filter? So if basically, so I will take a size value. So I'll just take, let's say, size value. So if this size value is actually not equal to the option, right, the action dot payload dot option. If this size value is not equal to the option dot payload dot action dot payload dot option, or else you just return an empty array. So let me make you understand this thing. This is a little complicated, I know, that even for me to explain this, it becomes a little difficult. How do I explain this? So first of all, what I'm doing is I'm creating an array of all the selected size, right? So S, M, L, XL, I'm just creating an array. So this, what we are doing over here in the code, we are creating an array of all the selected size. So if it is checked, then you add it to the array, right? If it is deselected, then you have to also remove it from the array. If it is clicked, then you add it to the array. If it is deselected, you remove from the array. So what I'm doing is, how do I see if it is removed? So what I'm going to basically do is, I'm basically checking if it is, the length is greater than 0. Then you do a filter on this array only, because from the size array, what you do is, you basically remove the option basically which was clicked on, right? You basically remove the option. So if the size value, right, if it is not equal to, so it's this action dot payload dot option. So let me give you an example. This will become difficult. So if I click on all of these things, right, so the array now has S, M, L and XL. So the array, so this array, okay, where should I write it? Let me write it over here. So this size array, let me write it as a comment. This size array now has S, M, L and XL, right? Okay, because I've clicked on all of these things. Okay. Now let me click on XL. So if I click on XL, this XL should be removed, right? So in order to remove this XL, what I'll do is, when I click on this XL, so this again would be triggered, right? Action dot payload dot check. Okay. This would be false. So what I'm doing is, so this would be triggered, the action dot payload dot option. So I'll get an option from this. So whenever I click on anything, I get an option, right? I basically get an option from here. So all the values which are not equal to the option, I want those values, right? So see, when I click on XL, the option will be equal to XL. Okay. Now this will make it more easier. So when I click on let's say if I click on S, M, L and XL, it will form an array. Now I deselected XL, so the option value will be equal to XL. Now what I am doing is, I am filtering out all the values which are not equal to XL. So the meaning of this thing is, give me all the values which are basically not equal to this XL. So if I say give me all the values not equal to Excel, so the size array will now basically change to S, M and L. Is this clear? Did you understand this thing? Did you understand this thing? So any questions, any doubt over here? Did you understand this thing? Just say yes or no in the chat if you understood this thing. Just say yes or no in the chat if you understood this thing. So then basically I'll have an array which would basically have size only. Okay, so let me show this also. So if I save it, if I save this also, okay, and then if I go to the app.js and I have state, and I can now do console.log. This would be state.size. So if I go to my this one, if I refresh it, so if I refresh this, right, I have the sorted array. But now see, if I click on S, M, L, it's not giving me the size. Console log state.size. For some reasons it's not giving me. Size. Is the case correct? If I go to size, the type is size, right? That it should have been, this should be action dot payload dot check and action dot payload dot option. This is also correct. Let me refresh it again. It should have given us the size, state dot size. Let's say if I do size, I must save this. I click on this thing. Does not even give this thing. Okay. Let me add it over here. I'm just adding it before the clear. Let me put it over here after this thing. Console.log. Maybe the clear was doing that thing. Maybe, I'm not sure about it. Yeah. Exactly. This console.clear was actually clearing everything before and then doing it. I was super scared. So now it's an empty array, but if I click on S, M, L, Excel, it adds it. If I click on Excel again, it will remove Excel. If I click on L, it will remove L. If I click on M, it will remove M. So this is what the code is doing, right? This is what I was expecting it to do. Okay. So now what I basically want is, so now what I want to do is, I have to write the utility function for this. So the utility function basically would be quite simple. It wouldn't be much of a bigger function. So what I'm going to do is, in the same way, the way I wrote get sorted products, I'll just write get const get products by size is equal to, this would take again the products array and it will take the size value, right? You know where the size will come from. It will come from state dot size, and I'll just write const sorted products is equal to, right? Sorted products is equal to, I'll just have to apply a filter on it. Products dot filter, right? I just have to apply a filter, And in the filter also, what basically I have to do is I have to also check. So let's say I'll take a product. I have to check whether uh, the size array includes the product dot size which you are feeding. So what I'll do is, if the size dot length is greater than 0, this is basically a check case. Then what I'll do is, then I'll check if the size dot includes, includes basically the product dot size. If the size includes the product dot size, then you return it. Otherwise, you just return the product. Okay. So this is basically what we are doing. So we are basically applying a filter over here, right? The filter would be would take the product, and I'm taking the size array, and if the product size is included in the size array, then basically you just return that product, right? Okay. Otherwise, if not, then you return the entire return the entire products array. Okay. So okay, yeah. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm just also going to return the sorted products. Okay. I'm going to return the sorted products, and the way I called this function get sorted products is the same way I'm going to call this also. So I'm going to write over here const products by size is equal to get products by size, and this should take the products array, and it will take state dot size. Okay, state dot size. Let's console log this. So instead of sorted products now, it should give us products by size. Let's see if this works. So if I refresh it, it should only give me, the array should only have products by this size. So if I refresh it now, right? Okay, initially it has everything, but now if I click on S, so if you see the array over here, the sorted array only has the product with the size S. If I click on M, it will have two values. The array has the products with the size M and the product with the size S. So I'm getting it. So you know the drill. What you have to do is copy this. Instead of sorted products, products by size, and product by size. And if I save it now, right, and then see, I will over here, instead of just products, I'll pass the sorted products over here, right? So why I'm doing the sorted products, so that everything gets in line with each other. So if I refresh it now, I'll have two filters applied. So if I click on S, I get S, small I get small, large I get large. Okay. If I do Excel, I get Excel also, right? Two products. If I do price low to high, so I get the price sorted by low to high. If I do price high to low, I get high to low also. If I remove medium, then something or the other will actually change, right? And if I remove Excel, something or the other is going to change. If I change low to high, it gives low to high. So yeah, this is it. So this is actually working, and the code is here. Okay. And see the brand, and you have to try it, the brand on your own. It's simple. The brand is very similar. It's not different from this. In the brands, what you'll do is, if I go to brand, right, just compare brand and size together, and an on change I'll pass Roadster, I'll pass Zara, I'll pass Forever 21. The way for size, on the on change I'm passing S, M and all the things. For brand and on change I'll pass Roadster and all of these things, right? And then I'll do the same thing. Everything would be same. Okay, each and everything would be same. Also, the way I've added sizes to an array, I have to add brands also to an array, and then you can apply filter by brand. You can take this as an assignment. For reference, you already have that thing. I can basically share this code sandbox. So let me just share this code sandbox also with you, so that you can have this code sandbox. So that's it from uh, okay, don't go before getting the code sandbox. So let me open YouTube. Okay, and so I'm just checking it from this device now. We are live, you know that. And in the chat, I'm just going to add uh, this thing. I'll just click on share, uh, copy sandbox link, and let me first check if this works. Code source file, and if it works, then I'll send it to you. I'm just checking it in my machine. Yeah, it is working. So let me share the link with you also. So here is the link of the code sandbox. You can click on that link and open it. You can fork it, and then you can use it. Okay. So how do you basically do it? You just click on the link. Okay. I think I am lagging a bit, right? You just click on it, and then in order to use it, you can click on fork, or even if you click on it and then save it, it will actually automatically be forked. Right? If you click on it, if you save it, it will automatically be forked, and you can use this and add on to your code. So that's it from this session. Yes, and I hope you have learned something. So this was a very long series of 6 days. Um Thank you to all the people for who have religiously come every day. I can take some names. There, I think there's Bobby, there's Sakib, and there were a couple of other people also who have joined every day for the session. It really motivates us to share. And what we want from you is to basically tell us what more do you want us to do. If you want us, to add more, more sessions like this, or which series you want us to come up with, we'll come up with the series. From next week, we are coming up with a series on Next.js. So that will be a very long series. It will go up to, I think, 25 days. So there's another mentor named Viraj Jain who will be taking that session. That will be from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. You should come and you should watch that. It would be a very, very informative class. So that's it from this session. I will see you someday soon. Bye bye.